Who is Hitler? A deep dive into history's darkest figure. A man with such a powerful grip on the world that his name still sends chills down spines decades later. A figure who reshaped history and led millions into chaos. Who was Adolf Hitler? And, perhaps more importantly, what can we learn from his rise and fall? In this video, we'll unravel the story of Hitler's life, the choices that led to his unprecedented power, and the lessons we can apply to our own journey. Buckle up, because the truth about Hitler will not just shock you, it could change how you think about your own life, legacy, and wealth. But before we dive deep into the dark history, let's ask, how could a man born like any other become the world's most infamous leader? Let's break it down. The rise of a tyrant, the beginnings, a man of humble origins. Adolf Hitler wasn't born a dictator. Born in 1889 in Braunheim in Austria, to a family struggling in poverty. Hitler's early years were marked by instability. His father was stern, his mother died young, and his school life was filled with failure. He wasn't handed power, he fought for it. What can this teach us? Sometimes, when life hands you setbacks, it's not about how many times you fall, but how you choose to rise again. But rise he did, and boy, did the world feel the impact. Ever been to a social event and overheard someone saying, "I'm just not cut out for leadership"? Well, don't worry. Hitler was once the guy who couldn't even get into art school. Imagine that, the future dictator of Nazi Germany, rejected by a Viennese art school, and yet we know where he ended up. Life's funny that way, isn't it? The power of persuasion. How Hitler became the voice of a nation. As Hitler entered politics, he began using one key weapon, his voice. A master orator. He knew how to move a crowd with passion, anger, and a vision of a better future for a broken Germany. By tapping into the widespread frustration following World War I, he presented himself as a solution to the nation's problems. The Treaty of Versailles, the economic collapse, and the rise of unemployment created a vacuum that Hitler was quick to fill. But this wasn't just about being a smooth talker. It was about manipulation. Hitler knew how to feed on fear and desire, painting a picture of prosperity in exchange for loyalty. So, what does this mean for you? In a world where information flows faster than ever, how do you make decisions that align with your financial goals? Are you falling for the trap of quick-fix promises? If Hitler's rise teaches us anything, it's that what's presented to us, whether it's an investment opportunity or a political ideology, needs to be critically assessed. The question is, are you aware of the hidden dangers around you? And do you recognize the power of persuasion when it's used for good or evil? The reign of terror, the creation of a totalitarian regime. Once in power, Hitler quickly moved to consolidate it by eliminating rivals, manipulating the legal system, and fostering an environment of fear. He ensured that no one could challenge him. The Reichstag fire in 1933 was the perfect excuse to suspend civil liberties and imprison political opponents. The truth? Power doesn't just corrupt, it isolates. It's crucial to see this for what it was. A systematic breakdown of personal freedom in exchange for control. This is a lesson we can apply in the financial world too. Often, we hear about opportunities that promise guaranteed returns, cutting out competition and offering exclusive benefits. Just like Hitler's rise to power, these promises can be a disguise. Beware of the allure of short-term gain if it compromises long-term freedom. I mean, who needs checks and balances when you have, well, all the power? Funny enough, that's the same thing some get-rich-quick schemes promise. Don't worry about regulations. We'll handle everything for you. Sounds familiar, right? Just a little too familiar. The Holocaust, an unimaginable tragedy. But power came at an even greater cost. As Hitler's reign grew, so did his insanity. The The Holocaust remains one of the darkest chapters in human history, a tragic reminder of how unchecked power can lead to unimaginable atrocities. Over 6 million Jews were killed in concentration camps, along with millions of others who didn't fit into Hitler's vision of racial purity. This is a defining question for anyone chasing their dreams of wealth. What kind of legacy will you leave behind? And are you ready to take on the responsibility of wealth in a way that benefits the world? Let's get into this. The fall of a tyrant. The collapse of Hitler's empire. Despite his initial successes, Hitler's downfall was inevitable. His refusal to adapt, his isolation, and his overconfidence ultimately led to his defeat. As the Allies closed in, the man who once commanded millions found himself in a bunker in Berlin, watching everything he had built crumble. What can we take away from this? Even the most powerful figures can fall if they stop listening to others, fail to adapt to changing circumstances, and let their ego guide their decisions. This applies not just to dictators, but to anyone striving for success. In the world of finance, those who ignore market shifts, fail to diversify, or refuse to listen to the lessons of the past often suffer the greatest losses. Imagine being the guy who thought he could conquer the world, only to realize he's trapped in a bunker with nowhere to go. No amount of gold bars could save him now, could it? Sounds like the person who invests all their money into one stock and ends up watching it plummet. We've all seen that, right? The lessons we learn from Hitler's fall. Ultimately, Hitler's fall teaches us the importance of humility, adaptation, and foresight. Success, whether in politics, business, or wealth building, requires constant learning, evolving, and understanding the broader picture. You might have the vision, but without the ability to adjust, you'll meet the same fate as many before you. So, what's next for you? Can you apply these lessons to your own journey and avoid the pitfalls of unchecked ambition? The clock is ticking, and the decisions you make today shape the wealth you'll have tomorrow. Hitler's rise and fall is a tragic tale, but it carries lessons that still resonate today, especially when it comes to making wise, informed decisions. Power, whether in politics or personal finance, requires responsibility, constant vigilance, and the humility to evolve. If you want to dive deeper into how to make the right financial decisions that will set you up for a wealthier future, don't miss my next video on the power of compounding. Trust me, you'll want to see how one small decision today can set you up for massive returns tomorrow. See you there.